Hi, welcome to another edition of Warehouse 34, and I am the host, Diane Morton Gattullo, and along with my team, we are so happy to have a phenomenal friend and great DJ, Gary Baxter. Gary, welcome.
Thank you very much, Diane. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here on this show. I'm shocked, but I'm happy. It's cool.
Stop it. You've done so many amazing things. Come on now.
You might say yes. I'm going to be super modest with it, but yeah, I've done a lot of different things and progressed and moved along and made my way somehow or another. It was one thing after another, one step after another, and I try to reflect positivity all the time.
You are a very modest, very humble, and very nice guy.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And your DJ brothers are all wonderful people. I love them all. I mean, it's a group of amazing individuals, and some are outgoing and some are shy, and but you're all just great. You know, whether we're talking about the professional aspect or just as, you know, people. It's just a great group of friends, and you are
Absolutely.
Amongst a class act, you know?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So I know your background, but the viewers may not know.
Okay.
So how did you get involved in the music industry?
Wow. How did I get involved? It's a unique story. I'll try to make it a little short. After I got out of the service, I got out of NOM. I was in there for 26 months in the NOM. So basically when I went back to my old job at Manufacturers Hanover Trust. And next door, there's this lunch hour restaurant that was doing all kinds of construction inside. I'm looking around, you know, all these speakers and stuff, and I didn't take too much of it. But not too long after that, I was introduced by a friend of mine who brought me to some after-hours club in Manhattan.
For people who don't know what after hours means.
Well, after hours means it's totally illegal, you know, and it's in the basement someplace, who knows where.
The attic or the basement, yeah.
It's a hidden area that was a club thriving situation for places that couldn't stay open after 4. Right. So basically that's what after hours means, and it's just hidden out. Mm-hmm. But I was brought there one night, and it's like, and I'm watching this, and there's guy in the booth playing music, and he wasn't really mixing, but the music, and it just hit me in the head. Mm-hmm. And it's like I mentioned this others also, the song that struck me really solid was, you know, Keep on Trucking. Mm-hmm. And with that, it just set me off. And then when I went back to work at the bank, and I'm watching this production going up and what they're doing, and I started inquiring as to what's going on here.
Right.
So I found out it was going to be a club after 5 o'clock. A club after 5 o'clock, and I'm looking at the turntables in there and stuff. So I go run into the management, and they said, I want to be a DJ. I want to be the DJ for this place. No, we already have one. Sorry, can't do it. I must have bothered this person at least 8-10 times. So on the final trip, no, we have a DJ. You can't do it. Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. I started walking out the door. He says, wait a minute. Okay. What's up? You really want to work here? I think you got that message, you know. So, yeah, I want to work here. And, okay, we'll do this. You can be the assistant manager, help out the manager with the odds and the crew and everything there. Mm-hmm. And basically, you can fill in for the DJ when she takes a break.
When she takes a break.
It was a she.
Because that was a little rare back then.
Oh, this is like 1973.
That was kind of rare back then.
Yeah, very rare. I mean, just to see the DJ alone was a rarity. Mm-hmm. You know, in 1973, you know, this is all just beginning. And with that in mind, fine, I accepted that right away. I didn't care what the pay was. Who cares? You know, I had this in my, I got to do this. Lo and behold, to be honest with you and everyone else out there, I knew absolutely nothing about it.
I was going to ask you that, yeah.
I knew zero. I just had this thing in the blood all of a sudden. I had to do it. So I'm just doing my thing, and then every night I was there, I filled in for the DJ, fine, when she took a break. One night, the management comes up to me and says, get in there and do your thing. Do my thing? What are you talking about? They fired this person on the spot because he came in there tanked.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
So I was okay. Here I am. Now, you want to talk about nervous. I had no idea what I was doing. But I felt it out, and I just had a feeling after listening to the music and this and that, and readjusting to the new type of music, call it disco, R&B, whatever you want to call it. I was always into like Iron Butterfly, Cream,
sure.
whatever. So it was a different genre totally. But I just had the urge and necessary feel that I had to do this. And I quit my job at manufacturers, and everybody thought it was totally nuts. I might be totally nuts, but I go on instinct.
Sure.
And instinct told me I needed to do this. But in the beginning, it was really rough. But after a while, this place got nuts. I started to get the feel for it. I couldn't mix. Friends out there, I couldn't mix. There's no such thing. But I learned everything on my own. So in order to join things together, and I finally got this, that, and then and I found from information here and information there, one person said this and one person said that. Okay, I put them two to two together. So I started in this place called Giraffe. It was a restaurant chain out of Chicago, but it was cool. It was like unique. And the next thing I know, this place was packed. I mean, packed every night. It's the truth. And I don't know if people are familiar with it. A good friend of mine, Danny Disk.
Danny
Call him Danny
Pucciarelli.
Pooch or whatever.
Yep, Danny Pucciarelli.
He actually came to that club and was listening to me, and I said, okay. But after that, he told it, even at the LOV Awards, there's a LOV that they give the disco DJs
Legends of
award,
Vinyl.
right? Legends of Vinyl Awards, and even said it there. It's like I infected him, because music to me, and I guess to a lot of other people, it's a unique thing to be able to handle and to grow with.
How important did the music become to you after your experience in Vietnam? Was it a calming effect for you? Did it give you an escape from everything? I don't want to make you uncomfortable. It's just you're such a proud vet. You are such a proud vet.
I am a proud vet, and yes,
and a proud DJ. So
yeah, we got a couple of those things.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah,
proud vet. Yes, I did a lot of time in Vietnam. Coming out of there, I was there for 26 months. So it's actually 3 tours, and everybody thought it was totally crazy anyway. But yeah, I'm nuts. It's all right, but I know it. But I know what I need to do.
Right.
So when I got out, okay, military was something that stuck in me, and I had issues.
Well, also during the time of when you came home, I mean, because I remember Vietnam, and I remember that the servicemen did not come home to the welcome that they get today, and things like that. And it was shameful that people who put their life on the line, who also didn't necessarily volunteer to do this, they were drafted. And you either escape across the border and never see your family again, or you go and, finish the obligation of your commitment. To not be respected when they came home was really a disgraceful moment in American history.
You're absolutely correct. When I did get back to the States, we were looked or frowned upon as we were the cause of that whole thing.
You only went to where you were told to go.
Yeah. I was drafted initially. After that, I got the notice. They finally caught up with me. Okay, it was a little late. I was already 20 years old. But they did get me, and I was living on actually Fort Hamilton because my father was a career soldier. But my father keyed me in. Do this, do that, do this, do that. And I'm not one, I didn't want to be in the military to begin with, but I had to take a lot of series of tests. So when I went into the service, I was already prepared.
Right.
I had high scores, blah, 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 good deal. So I go in, and I had to go report to Whitehall Street, 39 Whitehall Street, which doesn't exist anymore. But I went in. Hour before they're going to draft me, I enlisted.
Okay.
So I enlisted, feeling, okay, if I'm going in, let me do what I got to do. I don't want them to do what they want me to do.
Right.
So I went in with the basis, I'm going to go in, get a school that I want to deal with, and go from there. Not realizing that school didn't make any difference. I still got orders as soon as I finished. I went to air traffic control school. I was an ATC guy.
Wow.
And then I got orders to go to the NAM. Well, there's not too many real airports there.
Right.
You know,
At the time,
at
sure.
the time, well, I did, weirdly enough, wind up once I got into NAM, which was an experience in itself. Mm-hmm. As a civilian, you're so used to the cushion life and this and that, and you're on a jet plane. They land in Vietnam in the dark.
In the jungle.
In the dark. The door opens up, you get hit with this immense heat and smell. And now you say to yourself, what am I doing here? Mm-hmm. They come in and say, all right, troops, get up and run out that door straight across the field till you get to the end. Because there's no lights. The thing landed with no lights. Oof. Okay, but it's again, once I got through all that craziness and I did my time and I came home, you're right, nobody cared. Mm-hmm. I went to back to work. Not a word was said to me other than they didn't want to hear it. But it still had an effect on me personally. It was, again, severe anxiety attacks, PTSD. Well, PTSD wasn't recognized at that point.
Right.
So, and now they do, but it took them long enough for the government to let everybody pretty much die off. And you're right, a lot of people took the hike, went to Canada, whatever, and I really couldn't do that anyway. It wasn't me. Mm-hmm. You know, it really wasn't. I mean, it's hippie time, but it's not my time. I just couldn't do it. And I felt bad after a while about it, but I did what I had to do, and they almost didn't let me go because of a couple of reasons. My father was a career soldier. Mm-hmm. My brother's in the Marines. You know where they were when I went in? When I got orders to go to Nam? They were in Nam already. So now it's a bad note with the government because you can't have more than one family member in the war zone. But anyway, I went through that, and I actually waived my rights to get my younger brother out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did it. It's fact. It's truth.
No, I listen, I know you. I know the story, so I believe you, because we've talked before.
It's basically, okay, I did what I had to do, and by the time they did get him out, it was too late. He was medevaced out, and here I am now in Nam, and I didn't have to be here.
Oh, my goodness.
It's okay. You know, I survived it. I never thought, and this is a true fact, I never thought I would get out alive. So anyway, I got back, like you said, things were not exactly copacetic with the American public. Mm-hmm. But I had to deal with PTSD, and anxiety attacks were incredible. And they all thought it was crazy. They thought it was crazy.
Because nobody knew what it was.
But the DJ music thing, once I got involved with that, I think it helped me out tremendously to zero in on focus on that. And I became too overly absorbed with it.
I remember having a conversation with you, and you had said that the music gave you a great place to escape.
Yes.
And you were able to escape everything and all of the experiences that you had for that moment with that song at that time, and just become totally absorbed between the equipment and the song and what you were doing, and you were just Gary at that moment.
That's right.
Not Gary who just came back from Vietnam.
Exactly correct. In fact, nobody really knew I was in the service for a long time. I didn't tell anybody. I kept it a secret, even to the later years. Mm-hmm. No one ever really knew that I spent time in Vietnam, because I was embarrassed in a sense because people didn't care.
Not embarrassed, but probably you just didn't want to face the
rhetoric that comes out.
Right. Like, I'm not putting myself through this, so I don't need to share this with anyone. You know, because I know you're proud of your service. You're not embarrassed ever of it.
I did what I thought was necessary. Mm-hmm. You know, and the whole thing was, okay, I did it and I'm out. I am now reaping some benefits from the government, which is cool. It took them 40 years, but you know, I'm a little old, guys. Don't worry about it.
So when you came back and then you went to that place, the Giraffe. That wasn't the Quilted Giraffe. It was the Giraffe, right?
It was called the Club Giraffe.
Club Giraffe?
After 5 o'clock.
Okay.
That was my start.
And so you lucked out with a female DJ who moved on.
It was fate.
Yeah. And so who did you get? Did you have a mentor at that point, or you were just like freewheeling all of this?
As the story goes, as I tell everyone else, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. And I just went on with that and learned as I went.
Well, yeah, you had to have a lot of guts to run from the plane to the end of the field in the dark, in the middle of a jungle.
Yeah, no
you know,
choice.
being a kid from,
Yeah, right. From
the Army base in, Fort Hamilton or whatever.
Right.
To get up there and start playing with stuff that you really didn't know how to use.
That's correct.
And I'm only imagining, the first thing that came to my head is when they dismissed the girl and they told you to go in there, you're playing her records.
Right.
Because you didn't even have your records.
They were their records.
Oh, okay, okay.
So that was a good thing. It was their records, so you couldn't take them.
Because you didn't even have that at that point, your own collection.
I had nothing. I had absolutely zero. So, I just winged it. It was a total wing. But as I moved along every day, then I quit the job, and I started working there all the time without any other day job, of course. But, I gave it up. So this, to me, was better.
Right.
And I just stuck with the music, and the more I got absorbed into it, and more, I learned. That's why Danny came to the club one night.
Is that how the friendship formed with you and Danny?
I believe it was from there, yeah. So we hooked up after that, and it just moved on. Well, we kept going along. And then after that, I went to a club in Brooklyn. I had these guys come in there one night. The place was packed. And these two guys come into the club, and there's a glass screen around me.
Right.
They're coming against the wall like this to the door. Neither did I know that they were.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Well, okay.
No, I get it. I get it. Go ahead.
It was back in the day. Most of these clubs are owned, operated, everything by people.
I get it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That maybe the other people don't get it, but the other situation. But they came in there and said, "You're working for me, or for us." Excuse me? You're going to work for us. I said, "No, I'm not," not knowing who they were.
Sure.
I didn't know.
You didn't get a sense of what they were?
No.
Okay.
Because, I just didn't get it. Okay. I didn't find that out till a lot later, what was going on in the backgrounds with all these clubs. But I never had any conflict with them. Mm-hmm. And as long as you did your job.
Sure.
And that was cool. And I just stayed with me. I didn't get involved with any of that background stuff. But that's who he was. And these guys, and they came back again another time. "You gotta work for me." I said, "No, I'm not."
It's difficult. It's an invitation you're not supposed to refuse.
I said, yeah. So I said, okay, because the place was running. It was really running. I couldn't believe what was going on there. It was packed. And people started yelling and screaming and stuff. I said, "Hell, what am I doing?"
Sure.
I'm just putting on some cool stuff, and that was it. No mixes. Because even the platters still had the rubber mats on. You can't mix with rubber mats on. It just don't work. But you had to take them off, put the felts on there, and then you can slip it out and do what you got to do. But like I said, I finally left. And I said, "I will go if you give me the number." They gave me the number.
Okay.
So the number was sufficient. And it was in Brooklyn, so it's okay. It's less for me to hack into Manhattan all the time, pay for the parking and all this.
Totally different vibe, though. I mean, because I've worked in both, and I love both, and I really love Brooklyn a lot, because that's where I'm from. But working in Manhattan is...
It's a different zone, complete. And that's where most of the notoriety originated from the main DJs in the city.
Sure.
And Brooklyn and the rest of the places, like, you're in an outer world country that doesn't exist. But Brooklyn was the thriving disco zone.
Yes.
Other than Manhattan.
My neighborhood was really an area that everybody descended upon just to go to the bars and the clubs. Bay Ridge was just...
It was rocking.
Yeah.
No matter where you went.
It was a great place to grow up.
It was rocking.
Especially during that time.
It was great. Back in the 70s, like 75, 76, 77, it really got out of hand. But that was the cool part about it. And to me, the more it got that way, the more I got nuts. And I just kept learning and getting much better at developing my own style.
So where did you work in Brooklyn? I don't know if you want to say where you went to after you left the Giraffe, but...
Oh, I started in a club on Avenue J in Nostrand. It was called Beginnings, oddly enough. But that's what it was. And then I've actually had people come in, or actually one guy I remember perfect, and I always tell the story. Told me I can't say the word. I was terrible. I'm being very modest.
Okay.
So to me, when somebody tells me something like that, that gives me initiative to move and do more.
Okay.
And that's everything I've ever done has been that way. No matter what job I had, I always had, you are terrible at this, that. Fine. I'll take your comment and I'll absorb it. But I take the good and the bad, shake it up, and I learn from it. And I just kept pushing. So after that, I got better and better and better and better. So it was cool. Then when I first hit the radio scene, I was working in Cadabras.
Cadabras was a rocking place.
It was.
I mean, that was.
It was unbelievably crazy.
Yeah.
As Cadabras was, it was a small bar, but it was actually two bars or two storefronts connecting. And you couldn't get in there. I mean, this place was jammed. And I'm in a booth in the kitchen. In the kitchen like this, you know. It's like, okay.
With crates of records.
Yeah, with the crates of records, and you're in this little thing on top of a sink. It's a fact. But the place was smoking. And I kept going. I can't remember the guy's name. Peter, I think was his name. Was the owner of it. I can't remember his name. But anyway, we got along really great. And then as time goes on, I was listening to KTU, which is the station at the time.
Sure.
WKTU New York 92 FM, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm saying to myself, I'm listening to some of these specialty shows that they used to put on at lunch hours. And I'm saying to myself, what's wrong with them? You know, I'm not a bragger, but I knew I could produce something far better. So I just, okay, I'm listening. I found out who the promoter was for the KTU program. It wasn't KTU, it was someone outside promoter.
Right.
So I found out who it was and I called him up. Oh, I got a tape. Could you hear? Listen, we got more tapes than you could possibly know. They're all over the windows and this and that. No, we can't use it. I said, do yourself a favor. I'm going to come there today. That's fact, truth. I dropped it off. Do yourself a favor. Take a listen. Take a listen. You like it, you like it. If you don't, no problem. I push myself out. Would you believe the next day they called me up? And they says, can you do another one? That next one I did was the first one that aired on KTU. So it was a lunch hour break. And they told me when that was done, the phones never stopped ringing.
You know, it's pretty wild because I remember we used to call radio stations all the time to say that we loved whoever was spinning, we loved their music. I don't think like people think about doing that anymore, you know, and stuff like that. But back then it was like you heard it, you ran to the payphone, you had the change, boom, boom, boom. And for a girl, you used the emergency change that was in the bra at the bottom, pulled it out. And hopefully, yeah, you got to say everything you wanted to say before they told you your time was up, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And after that first show, it just kept going. They didn't even screen what I did anymore. I just kept producing reel after reel for them, big 10-inch,
Sure.
90 minutes straight through. You know, they'll break a little bit, KTU, FM, blah, blah, but it was like I did it for a couple of years. So I did a couple of years with KTU, and then I had a fallout with one of the directors there because they got upset that, music, it was a magazine that came out with all the top DJs and stuff and music that's being played. I can't remember the name or why. Anyway, it mentioned my name as a master mixer with KTU, which was true.
Right.
And it was for a club in Long Island that was a benefit for kids in the hospital.
Okay.
I'll do it. They got bent out of shape because who said you could put that in there? Don't talk to me, talk to them. So I said, okay, you're upset because I did a benefit for kids for nothing, and you should be honored that that was done in that club that mentions KTU.
Sure.
They got twisted. I said, you know what? You're twisted over that. I'm doing something that's good. What are you doing? I said, take your station. Adios. I left. That was the last one I did.
Oof.
But it's the way it is.
A lot of people would not walk away from KTU at that point.
I did.
Because KTU was enormous.
It was the thing.
Yeah, it was enormous.
But with that exposure, all of a sudden my name became a household whatever.
Right.
Everybody knew me. It's fine. I mean, thousands of people, it's cool. But I'm not going to stand back and say, look, I'm trying to do something good. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, you had the opportunity to share in something that you can help a group of kids benefit from.
But I always did that way. I'm always that way. I try to help everybody, which is bad sometimes, but I do. But that's personality. And my personality sticks to me, and I always go forward, move forward. I stay with the music, and I worked so many clubs. I worked Night Gallery.
Loved Night Gallery. We used to call it Shooting Gallery, but
yeah, it was called Shooting Gallery, right?
Yeah.
And Night Gallery
and not because of drugs.
Was
it was
actually,
Shooting Gallery because people would shoot each other. Yeah.
It happens, you know. And I worked at Night Gallery. Danny was in there, and he confronted me to play because he had to go to England or something like that. So fine. No, I went in there, but evidently the owners there were unhappy about something, and that was the end of that. So when Danny came back, I was out. But it's okay. You know, I went to another club. There was always somebody looking for me to work for them.
Sure.
Which is cool because they're all together anyway.
Yeah.
Then I went to a place called Plaza Suite 2. And there was a controversy about how I didn't work there. Excuse me, but I got the newspaper clips, so they did work there. End result, I left that place. I wasn't comfortable there to begin with.
You know, Plaza Suite, it was definitely a fun place, and the music was great. It wasn't my cup of tea, it wasn't my hangout. I honestly preferred Night Gallery. That was, to me, I don't know, it had a different vibe.
Definitely a different vibe.
Yeah, and I liked Penthouse too.
Right.
Before Pastels. Jasmine's, Interiors, those were like the places that I liked. And, you know, of course, going out to Long Island or Manhattan. But Plaza Suite, you know, you went there when you were young and you were single and you heard there was a cute guy in the place. It was like, okay, we can go to Plaza Suite.
You got to check it out, right?
Yeah, we're going to go check it out. You know, just like before Lemoore became a rock club, when it was a disco, you know. It's like, that wasn't really my hangout either, but, you know, there were a group of boys that we all thought were cute, and, you know, it was like, let's go look at them.
Natural.
It was, let's go look at them, and that's why we
It's
used
just
to
like
go
going down, cruising down 86th Street. It's the same.
Oh, lived doing that. Oh, my God.
Cruising
in my
down-
Lincoln with my 8-track, with my moonroof.
I wouldn't
back.
doubt if you don't have some of my 8-tracks, but
I am very sure I have.
I'm sure you do.
Yep.
Right, but anyway, that's the way it was back then. I left Plaza Suite only because of an incident that occurred there. And once this guy got shot in the stairwell, I packed my records, never came back.
Oh, understandable.
So I just move on.
Right.
But in the meantime, then I got this other offer, but I was working Animal Crackers, Hunter Mountain. Now you say to yourself, Hunter Mountain, it's a hike from Brooklyn, that's for sure. 2-hour run.
You have to stay there, though, no?
Huh?
When you can't commute, that's like you have to stay there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a weekend gig.
Okay.
You know, they confronted me. Needless to know, I didn't know who owned it, but I did find out later who it was. I couldn't believe who it was. But they never told me. I mean, there was a couple I knew who they were, but there was one in the background I didn't know. And I found out recently he was involved with that.
And so did you enjoy being there?
Animal Crackers was an insane place. It was totally
Hence the name
insane.
Animal Crackers, yeah.
It was definitely insane. As it was a barn converted. A barn. And up there it's freezing cold. Below zero.
Sure.
And it's a ski resort area, blah, blah, blah. Meantime, I got this place smoking. And I worked there for 3 years until they sold it.
Wow.
They sold it. And I said, okay, you sold it, fine. They got their own guy, whatever. But that place was packed constantly. Constant. And I said, this was a fun place, great. It was great. It was a DJ booth on the upper floor. And you could look down at everybody. It was a great. I got
to ask you. I mean, I don't want to break the line of it, but so back in the day, they used to always put the DJs, you know, up and back, and you were not part of the experience. You could see the experience. You could see how the crowd was reacting to the music and stuff like that.
You needed that.
And we would look up at the DJs in the booth. Now, you know, there are DJs that I work with on the weekends who prefer to be on the floor, like totally engaged with them. What do you prefer, being removed up in the back?
To be honest with you, as a professional, to be in the middle of the floor with people around you all the time is distracting.
Really?
Very distracting.
Because, like, if you go to, and again, I'm going to show my age by saying a rave.
No
but,
way.
They're all festivals now. But you go see the big DJs in Europe and stuff like that, or even when you go to Vegas and they do all of these, daylight, light, and all that stuff. They're right there. They are right there, and the people are in their face, going crazy over
But
the
I've
music.
had that.
But it's like, does that bring you to the next level working, or is it up in the booth where you see all of
I don't know if you consider it another level. It's just another way of doing it. I mean, I've done both. Upper, hidden away, so to speak.
And you like that more, the upper
I
hidden
like
away?
the upper because you can get a full view of the place. You know, when you're in a booth on the floor in tight quarters, you don't get the full sense sometimes, and you're just feeling into what you can see. I worked in the arena in Queens. Resident DJ from day one. This place was gorgeous, owned by the boys. But it's okay. I didn't care who it was. They came to me. You came to me, and this is what you're going to do? Fine. I'm game. And I never had the opportunity really to walk into a club pretty much brand new right from the ground up.
Okay.
So I designed the booth. I got all the stuff needed in there. It was cool. I mean, that place was nice.
So
Really.
it was basically created for you, the booth. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the booth was actually there. You could see me. It was on like third or fourth level, but it was step-laddered, and it was a circular, like an arena.
Right.
But the booth was in the wall.
Oh,
You
wow.
couldn't find the door because the panels that they put were all cut-out panels, and they looked like a puzzle, and
Wow.
you didn't know where the door was. Well, in that sense, it was good that way because I was always focused strictly on the music. People thought I was a snob, or I was whatever, gay. So I'm not involved here to make time with all the girls. I'm here to do a job, and I'm into my job immensely, totally absorbed. Once I started that was it. I'm focused, zero in. And I watched people, and I made people rock for hours on end.
Yeah.
Non-stop. Depends how you place it and when you can see it. And I've had it happen one night. The owner in the arena comes up. I'm just dilly-dallying in the beginning. It's early. And he's like, you want to show these people what you can do? What are you talking about? Do it now. Show them how. As soon as he just said that, boom. That was it. Once I got you started, the only reason you stopped because you're either exhausted or you're super dry. It's thirsty,
Sure,
you got to
sure.
stop.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, the floor always remained packed. And that's the purpose. What's the purpose of a DJ in the club?
Right.
To entertain. My feeling was I'm entertaining. I got absorbed into it, and it broke my head from the bad stuff.
Right.
And that's what everybody was. Why did they go to clubs? To break from the insanity that you're dealing with, and the stress that you have. Back then, clubbing was it. That
Right.
was everybody's escape.
Right.
And now, my job is what? Make that escape a remembrance.
Yeah, make it meaningful. Yeah.
And that's what I did. I just, once I got on that table, by the way, I never played the same program twice. Ever.
Is there a song you will never play? You can't stand
No,
it?
no. Every song has its own quality. Every song has its
So
own.
like our mutual friend,
Right.
Ralphie
Oh,
D. He
okay.
will never play Caribbean Queen. Never, never, ever. That's it. That's like his Achilles heel. He hears that song, and goes, no. Is there a song that you're like?
I will
"Mm,
never
okay."
do that.
No.
No, because there's people out there who want to hear that, or they don't want to hear it. But you can't decide what they want.
What's your favorite song?
Can't tell you. There's just too many. Once I got into, all songs to me were like powerhouses.
Right, right.
And if I put that on the turntable, what can I do to that song?
What's your favorite genre?
Disco was my blood.
Okay.
Okay, disco is it. But naturally, you have to branch off as times change. So I interacted with the hip hop and the reggae and the
House and freestyle.
house and all that. And I was able to transition smoothly from one thing to another. And that's a lot of DJs don't have that quality or capability to understand how to make that work and do it so it's consistent.
My favorite is house. Yeah,
I
that's
played
my
a lot of
favorite.
it. When I was in T.J. Bentley's, excuse me, I used to play a ton of that.
I have, in fact, Danny Pooch has my, one of my scrapbooks. And so I have all the newspaper articles from the DJs in the booth. And he was looking at it one day. He was like, oh my God. Oh. I had articles of him. He's like, here I am, here I am. I'm like, you got to look in it. You're probably in one of the newspaper cutouts.
I have a lot of them. Who was doing all the stuff in the newspaper cutouts in Bay Ridge? It was Alex.
Alex Kaloff from the Home Reporter and the Spectator.
He was
and then
everywhere.
His sidekick Barney.
He was everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I did a number of clubs in Brooklyn, and some of them were small, some of them were big. You know, Ernie Barry's I did a little once, and then, what was the other place? I did a couple of them that I can't remember the names of them.
Yeah.
And it's so many.
Before TJ Bentley's, did you spin at Jasmine's or Changes?
Changes.
Because that was a great place.
I did Changes for a little bit, moved on to another, and then they wanted me to come back later on.
Yeah, Tommy Sullivan. He was such a great guy.
He wanted me, fine, I'm there. But then even that turned out to be problematic. Only because I'm not an announcer.
Ah, okay.
I focused in on making these people move. To me, you make the people move, they drink. You keep them moving, they're going to keep drinking. And I'm not here to make announcements about this or that, but it doesn't make sense. You want to have announcements? Make a little flyer or something, that's it, basically. What do I got to sit there and remind them? They're here anyway.
Right.
I couldn't understand it, but he got a little annoyed at that. It's okay, no problem. It's all yours, I'm done. I left.
Oof.
That's because I didn't feel I'm in the right position to break people's brains with information that's not necessary. The club's smoking as it is.
Yeah.
How much more smoking can you get? You only have so much room in there. PJ Bentley's was not that big.
Listen, for Bay Ridge, it was a respectable size. It wasn't the size of Pastels or anything like that, but it was
okay.
Because Bay Ridge is small.
Yeah, look at Night Gallery. It was like 10 times that.
True, but that was all the way,
The other
that was
side.
up. Yeah.
Right.
But Bay Ridge itself didn't lend itself to the width of
Understandable.
creating, large
But they were
nightclubs.
always busy. They never had a problem with business.
No, never.
To me, it was an unnecessary thing, and I just couldn't handle it. I didn't want to get on there and start talking. It just wasn't me. I'm into my music. I'm into making people happy, and that's all I cared about.
So during all of this DJing, where did NYU fit in?
NYU.
Right, where'd you go to school?
Oh, okay. I went to school several places. Kingsborough first.
Kingsborough?
Then I got my bachelor's there with honors. But some people say, you'll never make it. I love when you don't tell me you're not going to make it. I make people eat their words. Okay, that's the way it is. You tell me something bad that I can't do something, you are guaranteed that I'm going to keep on doing it and I'm going to get far better than you can possibly imagine. That's the way I am. So I did that, and then I moved on to City Tech.
Okay, so then I misspoke. For some reason, I thought it was
No, you were
NYU.
close. It's NYU is similar to the last school because I got my associates, I got my bachelor's. They threw me out of all the schools. And my master's, which I recently got a few years back, 4 or 5 years, whatever, just because I wanted to do it. And I graduated there with this type of filming thing.
Sure.
And I got that with honors.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I was like 3.85, excuse me.
No, that's wonderful.
I loved it. And the more things I could learn, the better off I am. My thought pattern is you don't stop learning ever. Ever. Every day's a new day.
Yeah.
And if I learn something once, it's something I have to absorb. And I keep on pushing that. I keep pushing it. And I keep busy. And I was like...
Well, getting your degree in film and I guess broadcasting?
Well, it was called communication arts.
Communication arts. It's kind of hand in glove with being in the music
industry. In the music industry, and that's why when I went in there, this is a whole new ball game for me. I mean, when you run a master's, you're in there for a real trip. It's not simple. But I grasped it. It took me, I left school in 2001, just right after trade tower thing. They threw me out of there. Not because I didn't do well. Kingsborough threw me out. I'll tell you why in a minute. City Tech threw me out. End result, NYIT threw me out.
Okay.
And you know why?
No.
I had too many credits.
Oh, because you're, what, the never-ending student?
I just kept taking classes.
You're the never-ending student.
Yeah. And it's funny, because I didn't want to go. I said, I love it. This is great. Every day I couldn't wait to go there to learn something new.
Oh, that's too funny.
It is. But I couldn't.
Should have gotten a job at a university.
Well, I taught at Kingsborough.
But it's not the same, being a student or a teacher.
No, after I left City Tech, they threw me out, but I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't ready to be thrown out of school. Excuse me. You know, I figured I got time till June. I'll put my resume together and get a job. That happened in March. Midstream in the set of another 12 credits, they took me out. I said, look, you're going to take me out. And this happened because the president, I worked in the school under the president to do graphics.
Right.
Okay. So he says to me, what are you still doing here? I mean, what am I still doing here? I'm taking my classes as I'm instructed to do. They told me I got to take it. He looks into it. He goes to my boss who I was doing this artwork for. He says, what's you and the president? Excuse me, I don't know what. They want to know why you're still here. Why do you think I'm still here? I'm still because I'm taking my classes. 1 week later, I'm out. They backed me out of the courses like I was never in them.
Oh, wow.
Got my degree, and I'm on the street. So now I go back to Kingsborough. Now I'm very familiar with all these art programs because that was the whole thing. It was commercial art or visual art stuff. And I went in there. I said, "Look, I'm familiar with Photoshop, Illustrator, this, blah 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 blah." And I got an idea to help out. And the part chair says, "What are you talking about?" Oh, because I know what it is to sit in a class and you have no idea where you're going, and the professor has to stop and try and reiterate what they just trying to tell everybody else. Put me in as an assistant to the professor. So they get stuck. I'm right there for that student to help them out. They did it.
Oh, wow.
They actually did it. And from that point on, after that first year, they got such graving results out of it, they made me teach.
Did you ever have somebody who recognized you from your nightlife?
Yes.
In the classroom?
I had several.
Or even one of the instructors being like, wait a minute, this guy looks familiar. I think I was looking up
Kingsborough was a popular place.
Yeah, sure.
You know, I did
Manhattan Beach, come on.
Forget about it, yeah. I had a lot of situations where people come, oh, yeah, it's cool, but now I'm in a different zone.
Right.
So I have to project a little differently. It's okay. I still was in contact with people. I love being in contact with people. And I get along with everybody. Not a hard head. I'm a professor. Don't talk to me. There's a lot of them like that. But I was never like that. And if I could help a student go on that had problems, I'll do that. Extra. Because they need to have these skills.
Sure.
Today's education structure and students today go to school for one reason. Supposedly get that piece of paper. That piece of paper don't mean anything unless you really dive into it. A 2.0 don't mean nothing.
Unless you understand it.
Yeah. So I just had a good time teaching. I taught for 16 years at Kingsborough.
Wow.
And I got retired, and that's when the COVID came.
Right.
So it's okay. Perfect timing. And result, yeah, I had a lot of people come up. And how did I get my bachelor's? Another weird story. I wanted to do art in the worst way, the worst. So I go to City Tech. I have a meeting with the chairperson. My artwork wasn't available. I had a few pieces. He says, what's your portfolio? I said, look, I don't have one. That's just all I have right now, blah, blah, blah. Well, we only take 30 new students in this particular course structure every semester. You're kidding me. So you know what I told them? This is not a lie. I'm one of those 30. They call me up the next day, you're in. Honest to God, that's absolutely the truth.
Well, it's usually the people who've gone the hardest for it are the ones who get it.
My thing is, put yourself out there.
Sure.
If you don't put yourself out there, and even with a job, you get your foot, I'll take the lowest job you got, which I do, I have. But what's the purpose of doing that? your foot's in the door.
That's right.
Now, once you're on the inside, you can learn anything you need to know to get farther up in life.
That's right.
If you stay on the outside, you're never going to find out anything. You're going to be beating your head against the wall. That's how I progressed. Everything was that way. Once I get my foot in the door, you ain't getting it out.
Would you love more, teaching or being a DJ?
Wow.
Tough. That's a tough question.
Well, it's a tough question because the reality factor is I enjoyed both. But the DJ thing, I think, was the thing. It was the thing. I mean,
it's kind of like what bartending is for me. No matter what I've ever done in my life, it is my favorite thing to do.
It's your favorite thing, right?
You know,
exactly.
and I know that at a certain
contact
point,
with people, and you're having a fun time doing it.
Yes, but I know at one point that is going to end because of age and everything else, you know. And I think I'm going to be really sad when that ends because there are all different types of bartenders, and I prefer nightclubs. I'm a nightclub bartender, and
I was
that's
surprised to see you the other night. To tell you the truth.
I can still sling it. I'm good.
No doubt. No doubt. That's obvious. I mean, you love your work.
I do.
So
and I love the people that I'm around and the people
that radiates.
Yeah.
People
yeah,
know
we're all like one big family there.
When I did the DJ thing, it was the same thing. It radiates. They know that this is what it is, and I am going to do the best I can possibly do. I mean, I worked a lot of big clubs.
The girl on my side is like my third daughter, Lisa.
Okay.
And the girl past her, Olga, is like a sister, and the owners and the managers are all like brothers to me,
Cool.
and the promoters, you know, that are all like family,
Right.
brothers and sisters to me. And all the DJs,
Those guys are great.
We're part of each other's families, you know, like
It's great.
we laugh together, we succeed together, and
you have to think
yeah.
about. We are experiencing something today that no one's ever experienced ever. We're still alive with something. It's the truth.
Yeah,
We're still alive. Well, what happened in the past, and it's still getting better every day.
Yes, yeah.
And to me, I'm looking around, and I know all the DJs too. I mean, they honor me, and I feel, how do you say it? Very, very modest. I just can't say, oh, you're a legend. Listen, I may be a legend. I never thought that this recognition would come this time at this point. But it was because I loved what I did.
Yeah, but they all respect you, you know, and when they say it, they really mean it truly from their hearts.
I would hope so.
No, they do. I mean, you know, because like with our own conversations, it's always been like, you know, Gary Baxter. You know.
See, that's
And
amazing,
you're
that
kind,
reaction.
and you're kind, so it's easy for everybody to love you as such a great friend, and you know, really showcase your accomplishments because you're just such a nice, decent person.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I try to maintain that level. I have no reason to go anywhere else with it. Everybody to me is equal. I don't care what. And if I could be some sort of help to anybody, that's where I'm at. I'm there.
It's funny because you know, the ego that could be, and I know some DJs from the past that I've worked with.
Smoking.
And their egos were so inflated. They really had a tremendous false sense of importance. And
you ever hear him say, I'm the greatest? Right?
Not any of our friends ever say that.
No. But I'm just saying.
None of our friends
I
say
never,
that.
ever got into that mode.
I worked in a club in the city, and, you know, some of them were the big names, you know.
They're
and
besides
some of those big
themselves.
names were the nicest, but the others were like, and they
Because
just
the
are creepy now.
The notoriety made their heads get much larger, and they were not personally able to handle that in a sensible way.
I recall working, Ralphie and I worked with each other in Brooklyn at Razzles.
Okay.
And before Ralphie joined, it was Anthony Menino and another DJ, and I don't want to say his name. And I love Anthony. Anthony is like a brother. So the way Ralphie got in there is because the other DJ wound up becoming so abusive and so confrontational with me. And he wound up smacking me in the face at work.
Ouch.
Well, he didn't hit me that hard.
But
he
still,
didn't
it's
knock me.
ouch.
He didn't knock me out. Because if he knocked me out, it probably
would have
would've-
knocked him out.
Well, no, it
I
was
got
a very, very ugly scene, and more so for him than anything else. And Ralphie just got right in after this guy. It was a Saturday night. Boom, he was gone, and Ralphie was in there by Wednesday. You know, I think he got hired on Sunday,
Probably
but the next
did,
night
right,
was
right.
Wednesday. And then we had such a great ride. But I remember, excuse me, that obnoxious DJ who really thought who he was, in this club. Listen, Razzles had a good run. We were packed all the time.
See,
we were never as good as Pastels. And I don't mean good. I shouldn't say that, because we were equally
it was still
as popular.
The place, right.
Pastels was lightning in a bottle with every single thing that you could imagine from...
Who was the DJ there, right? Tell me.
Who, Tito? Or Ralphie?
And who else was in there? Mark Zimmer?
Oh, yeah, sure.
That is the man. I heard him once playing gazebos. I played in gazebos, too. Mm-hmm. But to that man, and to this day I tell him he's the best. He is a connoisseur in the music industry.
But you had to be in there, because everybody was top notch at Pastels. The best bartenders, the best doormen, even the best valet guys.
Right.
I mean, they thought of every level, best security guys. You could not look at one part of Pastels and dissect it and go, that was subpar. No, everything was thought to the,
I understand that, right.
to the grain of sand in that place.
That's right.
But Razzles, we held our own. We were very, very popular, very crowded.
See,
but that guy never worked another club again.
Oh, I'm sure he didn't.
Never worked another club again.
And you know why, don't you?
Oh, because he smacked me in the face.
That's right.
Yeah.
There was so many DJs back then that besides themselves. I'm great and this and that. Give me a break.
To get to the DJ, you had to, because the DJ was in the back of the dance floor up, and there was like you had to go through the back to actually get into the booth. You couldn't even get to it from the club.
Gotcha.
And you had to walk out of the kitchen into the street to go through another door to go upstairs.
Right.
And to get to a DJ to play the song, of course, you had to come to the bar. And if you wanted to play, if you wanted the DJ to play something, of course, it had to cost you something. Unless I deemed that you were the type of person the DJ would want to play a song for.
I hear you.
Okay. And I accepted money on behalf
of
someone for the DJ. And it was extremely generous. And the person was not telling or asking me, he was telling me in a nice way with a
here's the money, haven't played a record.
With a monetary donation to the cause.
Right, I got you.
And so I called, and the guy was like, F you, I don't like that song. And he hung up on me, and I kept calling the booth. And the guy is looking at me over the bar. I go, listen, I don't think you heard me play the song, And he's like, screaming at me over the thing. So I said, I'll tell the gentleman that you're refusing, right? And I'm going to give him back his $100 for a song that lasts 3.5 seconds, you idiot. Play the song.
For that
it wasn't
money,
even a bad song.
Who cares?
It's not even like, a horrible song.
I never got a $100 tip.
Oh my goodness, yes you have. So, so the guy turned around and I said, he doesn't want to play your song. Well, he waited for him in that door going outside. When the DJ came downstairs, he basically, told him whatever it is he wanted to convey in a respectful manner. And the DJ came in red-faced and a little crumpled, I guess, from the experience.
I wonder what happened.
I don't know. And then he came over and he just cracked me. I was like, holy smokes. But I've never been the person to relish in someone else's downfall. But I got to tell you, that moment
was a supreme moment for you.
Yeah, it was one of those moments. I was like, yeah, okay, you're unemployed.
That's
go back to school and find another career.
I had a lot of people confront me, play this, play. You know what I would do? I wouldn't refuse it. I said, look, hang in there. I'll get it on eventually. I just can't drop it off.
What I never understood was, if you have to just get through the experience and you truly don't want to play it or whatever, if it breaks the jam and breaks the vibe of the room, can't you be polite and lie? I don't have that song. I'm so sorry. I wish I did.
Sometimes that happens.
Because then you make the person feel heard, respected, without insulting them.
Right. And sometimes that's the truth.
I never understood. It's like when someone says, do I look good in this outfit? And they're already out in the street and they can't change. How could you turn around and say, no, you look horrendous?
Back then.
So the whole night is ruined. No, you just go,
it's different.
You look so nice.
It's different today.
Yes.
As to then. When we were DJs, most of the DJs, we all carried crates of records.
Oh.
Okay? Crates. I mean, I carried 4 with me. So in the meantime, how many records can you really possibly? There's always somebody come up and ask me for a record. I don't have it. I have it, but it's not here.
Right.
So you can't play. I said, unfortunately, you don't have it. I mean, you got to carry these crates, and they're heavy.
When you were a resident DJ in a place, you didn't trust your records in that
Never
place?
left them. Never.
I ask everyone that question, and everyone's like, no, never.
There's no way. That's your livelihood. And if I get all my records, which they aren't in this country at the moment, they're far away in the Philippines, but I'm hoping to get all that stuff back. But in result, all my records from the 70s, plus all the 45s, are in actual pristine, brand new condition. And that's why I would never leave them behind for anybody to fool around with them.
Right.
Even when I was playing, I never touched them. When I took them out of the sleeve, edged on the record, spun it around, bing-a-bing. Never really put my fingers on them, and each record is actually just like it was right out of the package.
What record pool were you part of?
Oh, back then there was an IDRC. And that was the record pool for a while, other than Judy Weinstein, and had a couple others, this and that. There was one in Brooklyn. Who was doing that one? Smaller one. And Charlie, can't remember his name, had it on 13th Avenue, I think it was. But there was a few. And I was in IDRC, and after a while, from where I was originally, there was like 200 guys in this thing. I went to number 11. So I said, to be pushed to number 11, so all the product that would come in, I would get it and then some.
Right, right.
So I was getting product, we called it product, guys, okay? Music records was coming from every possible conceivable corner of the planet. And back then, for a time, all of a sudden, all the record companies went absolutely bananas, and they were pumping out product, 20, 30 pieces a day.
Right.
And then I was getting mail. Every day I'd get mail, I'd come to my house, and there's packages of records outside. It was crazy.
Did you ever have anybody follow you to, like, please play my song in the club? Please listen to my stuff. Will you please play my music?
I've had a few that they came in with product, new stuff. I didn't hesitate. I would listen to it on the headset, but it depends upon if I felt it had the quality that it needed, I would play it.
Any of them become big hits?
I'm trying to think. There was a couple of them, I'm not quite sure which ones they were, but there were a couple, and I broke a lot of records.
Because I remember the excitement of when somebody would come and palm, you know, their music and basically, you know, be like eternally grateful, and the DJ would play it, and you knew the moment you heard it, that was going to be
one of the records
an
was
anthem.
"Give Me Love."
Really?
I heard that, says, this is ass kicking, excuse me. I mean, this thing was like, hello, and I had 2 copies of it. And I just did the thing.
Right, right.
I made it like totally different from what it was, but you know, that record to me had punch, and it was just a catch to it, what they call.
Sure.
And I said, okay, I like that record. That was one of them that I know, and I did some for Vicki Sue Robinson.
Do you believe that we are less than a minute? Oh my God.
No way.
We could talk for hours. I want you to come back next time you're up here in New York.
Oh yeah, I have to go back to Florida, but you know, if you want, you let me know.
That's why you're wearing your jacket, because you're freezing.
I'm freezing.
Because you've got thin blood again now being down there.
Right.
You going to promise to come back?
Yes.
Okay,
I
because you got to
appreciate
come
the
back,
offer.
and you have to go visit Tito's show, this show, everybody.
I was there last night.
Perfect.
I was there last
Perfect. All right. I love you. I can't thank you enough. Everybody needs to go check out Gary Baxter. And you know what? We have to talk more next time. But Legends of Vinyl, all of that cool stuff.
Legends of Vinyl was a
we didn't
big
get
thing
to
for
talk
me,
about
too.
any of that. That is an amazing thing. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.